Yes, my friends, everything seemed to be going well for the Miami Dolphins, but in the world of the NFL, anything can happen at any moment. In the last few hours, we received some not-so-good news. In fact, two pieces of news that I confess have left me worried. I'll tell you everything, but first I want to know your opinion on something. Do you think the Miami Dolphins deserve a better GM than Chris Grier next year? If so, hit the like button hard. And please, if possible, leave your opinion in the comments. In my opinion, he should have left by now. He's one of the worst I've ever seen with the Dolphins. Now let's get to the point. The Miami Dolphins are facing a critical week as they prepare to host the New England Patriots in Week 12, but the team is dealing with significant challenges that could impact their performance. Two key players, cornerback Kendall Fuller and linebacker Bradley Chubb, remain sidelined with injuries, creating uncertainty in their respective units. Let's break down exactly what this means for the Dolphins and how they might adjust in their absence. Starting with Kendall Fuller, head coach Mike McDaniel shared in his press conference today that the cornerback is still in concussion protocol. While Fuller was seen sweating it out on a stationary bike, McDaniel admitted he's personally pessimistic about Fuller's availability for Sunday's game. This would mark Fuller's second straight missed game and his third absence this season due to concussions. The timing couldn't be worse for Fuller, who has been a standout for the Dolphins' secondary this year, significantly upgrading the defense. His coverage stats speak for themselves. Less than 60% of passes completed against him, only one touchdown allowed, and 4 passes broken up. Pro Football Focus has graded him highly, with scores in the upper 60s for overall performance and coverage. Fuller's absence is a blow to a Miami secondary that has undergone changes throughout the season. While Jalen Ramsey is back and healthy, the question now revolves around who will fill the void opposite him. Last week against the Raiders, Storm Duck and Cam Smith were called upon. Duck, an undrafted free agent from Louisville, logged the majority of snaps in nickel packages and performed solidly. In 36 defensive snaps, he allowed just 3 receptions for 21 yards, earning a respectable PFF grade in the mid-60s. On the other hand, Cam Smith, Miami's second-round pick in 2023, has struggled. Limited by injuries earlier in the season, Smith hasn't lived up to expectations, with particularly poor performances against the Cardinals and Bills. Despite being considered a promising talent, Smith's lack of consistency raises questions about his role moving forward. The Patriots' receiving corps, fortunately for Miami, is among the least threatening in the league. Their primary target, Demario Douglas, operates mainly out of the slot, leaving Kader Kohou to handle that matchup. On the perimeter, the Dolphins will need to rely on Duck or Smith to step up against the likes of Kendrick Bourne or Keyshawn Boot. While the Patriots don't boast elite weapons, their rookie quarterback Drake May presents a new challenge. Unlike Jacoby Brissett, whom Miami faced earlier this season, May's combination of size, athleticism, and arm strength adds a layer of unpredictability. May's ability to extend plays and attack deep downfield could test a shorthanded secondary, especially without Fuller's veteran presence.
Moving to the defensive front, linebacker Bradley Chubb's status remains unchanged. McDaniel confirmed that Chubb hasn't even begun practicing as he continues to recover from the knee injury he suffered late last season against the Ravens. The 21-day window to return from the PUP list hasn't been activated, and with November nearly over, the earliest realistic target for Chubb's return now appears to be mid to late December. This timeline aligns with earlier predictions, though fans hoping for an earlier comeback will likely need to temper their expectations. In Chubb's absence, rookie pass rusher Chop Robinson has emerged as a bright spot for Miami's defense. After a quiet start to the season, Robinson has turned a corner in the last 4 games, recording 2 sacks, 18 pressures, and 14 hurries. His production has been instrumental in maintaining the Dolphins' pass rush, but even with Robinson's breakout, Chubb's experience and leadership remain invaluable. The Dolphins may also face a critical decision regarding Chubb's future. If he returns and performs well late in the season, Miami could explore trading him during the offseason to free up $18 million in cap space. However, showcasing his value requires him to be healthy and productive, leaving the team with little room for error as they navigate the final stretch of the season. The timing of these injuries is somewhat fortunate, considering Miami's upcoming opponents. The Raiders last week and the Patriots this week provide less formidable challenges than some of the Dolphins' other adversaries. However, it's crucial not to underestimate any NFL team, especially when dealing with roster uncertainties. The Dolphins must rely on depth players like Duck, Smith, and Robinson to hold the line and deliver consistent performances. Now, Dolphins fans, this is where you come in. With Kendall Fuller likely out for another week, who do you trust more to fill his role? Storm Duck, or Cam Smith? And what are your thoughts on Bradley Chubb's potential December return? Do you believe he'll play a pivotal role in the playoffs, or is this an opportunity to evaluate other players on the roster? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Now let's dive deeper into what the Dolphins' situation means for the broader season picture, starting with Kendall Fuller and his importance to this defense. Fuller's absence creates a ripple effect in the secondary, which Miami has worked hard to stabilize. With Jalen Ramsey back and playing at an elite level, there's no doubt the Dolphins have a cornerstone on one side of the field. But the other side remains a revolving door without Fuller, and while Storm Duck showed promise last week, he's still an undrafted rookie being thrust into a challenging role. Cam Smith, meanwhile, is struggling to live up to his second-round draft status, raising questions about his future and the Dolphins' decision-making in selecting him. The decision to favor Duck over Smith last week highlights just how much faith, or lack thereof, the coaching staff currently has in Smith. For a team with playoff aspirations, this is a crucial moment. Can Miami develop its young talent on the fly while maintaining their competitive edge? Or will this patchwork approach in the secondary cost them in key moments down the stretch? The Patriots may not be the toughest test, but with Drake May under center, there's potential for big plays if the Dolphins don't shore up their coverage. And looking ahead, tougher opponents loom, where the margin for error will be much smaller. On the other hand, Bradley Chubb's absence, while significant, hasn't been as detrimental thanks to the emergence of Chop Robinson. The rookie has exceeded expectations over the past month, becoming a reliable pass-rushing threat. His performance underscores the importance of depth and the value of hitting on draft picks, but it also raises questions about how Miami will manage Chubb upon his return. If Robinson continues to ascend, does Miami scale back Chubb's role to preserve his health, or do they push for full utilization of one of their highest-paid players to justify his contract? The potential for a trade involving Chubb is another layer to this story. If the Dolphins do decide to move on from him in the offseason, his performance in the final games of the season will be critical. A strong finish could boost his trade value, potentially netting Miami a higher draft pick while freeing up significant cap space. But all of this hinges on Chubb's ability to return to the field and make an impact, something that remains uncertain as we approach December. The conversation also wouldn't be complete without touching on how the Dolphins' offensive line is quietly becoming one of their strengths. Aaron Brewer's addition has been a revelation. Signed in the offseason to replace Connor Williams, Brewer faced skepticism from fans who were reluctant to let go of Williams' solid play despite occasional snapping issues. Dolphins fans, what do you think? Should the team focus on maximizing immediate results by relying on veterans like Chubb and Fuller if they return, or is this an opportunity to give younger players valuable experience? And what are your thoughts on Aaron Brewer? Has he exceeded your expectations, or do you still see room for improvement in Miami's offensive line? Drop your comments below and let us know how you feel about these developments. Your voice is an essential part of this community, and we'll continue the conversation as the Dolphins navigate these challenges. Fins up!